Peace be unto you. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism. These are your big five among 6 billion and counting people on our planet. There are many other worthy disciplines that originate from these and from those. What they all have in common is righteousness and doing good to self and others. The question is, how have the world gotten to the point of wars and rumor of wars? Why is there so much conflict, confusion, and dissatisfaction? Is there a supreme entity who had foreknowledge of today's events, or must we rely solely upon our politicians who got us into this mother of all messes of our religious leaders whose prayers seem to fall on deaf ears collectively? Can somebody, something, some spirit change the course of events from death and destruction to life and more abundant life? The change actually starts with the spirit that is in you. The spirit of the arch deceiver, Iblis, Satan, the opposer, or the spirit of love and unity of the human family. Talk is just that, talk. Actions have always and will always speak louder than words. Kun fire kun. This is the action of God. Be, and it is. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught the American so-called Negro to ask questions and learn all about themselves. Why was this ingrained in the DNA of the so-called American Negro in his acceptance of Islam in North America? First, because he was taught for over 300 years in slavery that we were black because of the curse of Ham in Genesis, one Noah's sons. Second, that we were second-class citizens, even legally written up as 3/5 of a human being in the great document referred to as the United States Constitution. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was raised up as the first begotten of the dead, spiritual dead, and was taught by his teacher, who some 24,999 other human beings in Detroit, Chicago, and Milwaukee referred to as Prophet Farad or Professor Farad. It was only after his teacher departed that Mr. Elijah Muhammad referred to this mysterious man of knowledge as Allah in person, not just in spirit. The Supreme Being, whose mission was and is to raise the dead to life. In raising the dead to life, it would be a knowledge that no eye has seen, ear has heard. A new and improved Islam. The 5 fundamentals would not change at this time. However, a new interpretation would change, a better understanding. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad ordered us to ask questions and learn all about the history that was hidden from us from 1555 to 1619. 64 years that it took the English slave trader, the Dutch, the Portuguese, and others to make an original black man into a nigger. 64 years in the Isles of the Caribbean before we came en masse to the shores of Plymouth Rock. Hit on the head, brought on a westerly course. We are truly harem of beef, caught in the matrix of the 3 ruffians of Western civilization. Praise belongs to Allah. This is 2007, and we are in the final stages of the resurrection of the spiritual dead in North America, who will be called upon to square the world of debt and oppression. The black, brown, red, yellow, and white people. These represent the coat of many colors of the prophet Joseph. This coat is to put civilization back on a compass and the square. This is the meaning of the Masonic ritual of George Washington and their symbolism of freedom, justice, and equality for all. The crossing of the burning sand. Ask questions and learn all about yourself. To be able to answer the questions of the sleeping giant, the so-called American Negro, the Lion of Judah, there must first be a class of men and women who are educated into the knowledge of self, which is the knowledge of God. Make no mistake on this principle of being. The knowledge of self is the knowledge of God. Is God a spirit or is God a human being? Is Satan and his or her little devils and imps spirit or are they human beings? Either way, human or spirit, inhumans possess the spirit of Satan or God. Concepts, images, words tell us of our past, present, and future. Time dictates action, and the actions of motion must conform to the time for success. So words contain the spirit of Satan or God put into action all by the human being, not spooks or spirit of the imagination. Imagination had never started a war or been arrested for a felony violation. Ask questions and learn all about yourself is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad advised his followers to do. Words are force. Words are power. Words control the images of yours and our reality. If the one who never treated you right is teaching you about doing what's right, what do you imagine? Do Santa Claus really exist? Did the Easter Bunny really lay chicken eggs or colors at Jesus' resurrection? Is this all just a little white lie doing no harm? How did black people receive that other 2/5 of their humanity, when by the law of the American Constitution, we were written up and voted on as just 3/5 of a human being? Did the Civil War give us our other 2/5, and then Jim Crow and the Ku Klux Klan rescind those amendments? What is the duty of the former slave and slave master children towards one another? The duty of the former slave is to rise up and do something for themselves in the way of knowledge, business, and mating. The slave master children's duty is to free their slave dependency upon the technology of equal rights and justice. Justice can only be attained for the masses when truth and nothing but the truth is practiced, not fairy tale, conjecture, and outright lies. The Holy Quran say in the 57th chapter, referred to as the iron, verse 25, certainly we sent our messengers with clear proof, and we also sent down with them the code of Sharia, law and justice, and the balance, the practice of the prophet and right use of the book of God, so that people might conduct themselves with equity and justice. And we have given to them iron, which had great strength, and wherein is material for violent warfare, and for many other uses for mankind. All this has been done that Allah may distinguish those who help him and his messengers without having seen him. Indeed, Allah is all-powerful, almighty. Now, it is the practice of the prophet and right use of the book of God that we need to pay close, studious attention to. It is not the ignorant and superstition practices of this culture or that culture that Islam has overtaken. It is the practice of the prophet, whether Abraham, Moses and Aaron, Jesus and Peter, Joshua and Jerusalem, Muhammad or Bilal, that we are asked to emulate the strength to the suffering. To think in 2007 that the believer in Muhammad is to ride a camel around town instead of a modern vehicle is ignorant. To think the great woman liberator Muhammad Ibn Abdullah will approve of keeping the female illiterate is a crime against humanity. To think that Jesus would be pleased with the numbers of the poor in the world, for the poor we will always have with you, is satanic. To make sexuality, a sex, a God beside God, is satanic. To make greed, self-satisfaction, and grandification at the expense of the weak, exploited, women and children is satanic. It is only doing what is right to other human beings that bring about a harmony, peace, balance. Anything other than wanting for self what you want for others is satanic. Suicide of self for a political purpose is satanic. Allah is well able to bring everyone to his will, to make every knee bow, not blow up the knees, but make the knees bow. War is satanic. Peace is godly. What makes war satanic? If war break the peace, well, he, she, this nation or that nation attacked me first. God Allah is the beneficent, the most merciful of those who show mercy. That is Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, and Judaism, which teaches in the Old Testament that God, Jehovah, sits on a seat referred to as a mercy seat, not an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth seat, a mercy seat. What seat do you sit on as an independent contractor of faith? There is not nothing being said right now that have not been said before. The only difference is the forces of nature will comply with the code of Sharia, law and justice, and the balance in 2007 and beyond. This society, from Russia to London, from Mecca, Arabia to Las Vegas, Nevada, these societies, whether in China or India, have element of greed, deviant sexual behaviors, and oppression, and debtor societies that are unbalanced, very unbalanced, and satanic. Satan being one who spread his or her evils. The devil being the entity of persons who carry out the instruction on self, through self, using evil as that modus operandi. The moral of this talk is this. People created this imbalance on our planet Earth, not spooks or spirit. People. It will take people to make other people accountable for the cleanup. It must be a moral, ethical, physical, and spiritual cleansing. A new theological soap, like full of soap, must be used to bring the individual back in balance with their original nature of peace. There is no peace without righteous conduct towards others. There is no peace in an unbalanced individual relationship, state, or nation. Peace only comes when one submit to do right, not to spooks or spirit, but to do right to other human beings. Why do I stress the concept of spooks and spirit in relationship to the human being? We all have heard the concept, the devil made me do it. Well, if the devil made you do something, the devil had to be in you to utilize your hands, feet, eyes, ears, and brain. Spooks and spirit do not teach us spooks and spirit. Only human beings teach other human beings of invisible, tangibles that affect their earthly life. Well, what about you, the individual who affect our earthly life? It seems awful convenient to blame things are wrong and bad on invisible beings instead of visible ones. Invisible beings are just that, invisible beings. A visible being operates from the breath of life. Let's look at what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught on this subject, referred to as the breath of life in the Theology of Time series from 1972 to 1975. Material from the earth give us a body for breath to enter. When breath entered the body, it made a sound, and from the sound I could walk and I could guide myself. The breath of life, every human being that is born of parents, if it does not breathe the breath that carrying the earth and that we are all breathing, it won't live. We say it is stillborn. But he, Satan, a human being, made you look at it differently. He made you to look at breath as something of a spirit, of a body we can't see. That's right too. We can't see the air that we are breathing unless we get a microscope. Then we can see the very atoms of life in the air. Those atoms of life in the air are the thing that give us life. Whenever the body gets to the place that it can't draw them in, we say he's dead. That is right. The biggest soul we have is air. Deprive a man of air and he's dead. The real soul that they preach to you about is your breath. There's no such thing as a little man going out of your mouth, going to an unknown place. When you get so that you can't breathe the little man in, you don't stay a little man yourself. A man does not go out of the body. It's the failure to get the man in. You have probably seen people almost drowning, and you've seen them stand the man on his head to run the water out of his lungs. Would bring in the breath of life. If they don't, the man will expire. There is no such thing as a spirit coming out of your body, going someplace. It's the spirit that can't come in to keep the man alive that causes death. The human soul is nothing but a person's life. It is not something which is separate from the body in which we are in. If you study the theology side of it, it only means our breath. That is the soul, our breath. The Bible teaches you that when God made the man, he breathed into the man the breath of life. Then he become a living soul. These are the exact words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the same Elijah of Malachi 4th chapter 5th and 6th verse. Take it or let it alone. Surah 49, the apartments, verse 14 through 18 says, the Bundaean say, we have believed. Tell them, you have not believed. Rather say, we have become Muslims. For faith has not yet found its way into your heart. If you obey Allah and His Rasul, He will not deny you the reward of your deed. Surely Allah is forgiving, merciful. The true believers are those who believe in Allah and His Rasuls. They never doubt, who make jihad with their wealth and their persons in the cause of Allah. They are the ones who are truthful in their claim to be the believers. O Prophet, say to those who claim to have believed, do you apprise Allah of your religion? Whereas Allah knows all that is in the heavens and earth, and He has full knowledge of everything. They think they have conferred upon you a favor by embracing Islam? Tell them, you have conferred upon me no favor by accepting Islam. It was Allah who had conferred a favor upon you in guiding you to the true faith. Admit this if you are truthful in your claim of having faith. Surely Allah knows the secret of the heavens and earth, and Allah is watching all your actions. In closing this little talk, what are the points? The main point is visible people are the only people that blame life on invisible, visible people are the only people that blame life problems on invisible beings. Visible people control the wealth of the earth that we are born out of. Visible people control households where child abuse and women abuse originate. Visible people control laws that affect society, as far as contemporary social, political relationship, as well as, most importantly, economic laws that sustain the acquisition of wealth, whether from slave labor or illegal immigration labor. Visible people create wars, invisible think tanks. Visible people evade the draft during Vietnam. Now those same visible people cajole other visible people to fight a cause that visible people define as a necessary evil. Visible people use terrorism for political purposes. Visible people use state-sponsored terrorism for political and economic purposes. Visible people pray to an invisible deity. Visible people must plant, sow, and harvest visible food to remain visible. To teach the invisible is slavery teaching for a master who controls you by your belief in an invisible creator. If two people are in two different locations, unless a third person sees the other in person, one is invisible, the other is visible. This doesn't mean the other one does not exist. It just means you do not see them at the moment. God wants you, the individual, to always see him, her, or it in yourself. 23 hours, 56 minutes, 46 seconds a day. The man, woman in the mirror is truly God or Satan. Your action toward your temple, your body, your action toward others determine who you are as an individual, or manifested, God or Satan, the devil. Knowledge always supersedes belief. Knowledge can always be tested. Belief without knowledge is just that, belief. A belief is only as good as the believer. Knowledge can be utilized by all. Construction requires knowledge, not belief. True belief is always based on actual, factual knowledge. False belief is just that, false, untrue, make-believe. To teach anything without knowledge or provability is to deceive or lie. This is the modus operandi of the arch deceiver. William James wrote, "True ideas are those that we can assimilate, validate, collaborate, and verify. False ideas are those that we cannot." Finally, the truth of an idea is not a stagnant property inherent in it. Truth happens to an idea. It becomes true. It made true by events. It verified is in fact an event, a process. The process, namely, of it verifying itself. Its verification, its validity is the process of its validation. So we close this talk in relationship to an invisible and a visible. We have been taught in the Christian religion as well as the Islamic religion that God is an invisible being. If this is true, then the person who teaches this knowledge is a person who have not seen that which he teaches himself. He teaching something that he cannot verify himself. You say you have the Spirit of God, preachers get up on Sunday, imams get up, rabbis get up, and they are in the Spirit of God, but the Spirit of God is in the human being. The Spirit of God is not standing next to me. The Spirit of God is in me. The Spirit of God can be in you. The Spirit of Satan is in you. And the Spirit travels through the Word. It travels through the Word of God. It travels through the actions that you produce from the Word. Now, you can argue all you want that Allah is incomprehensible and all of that. Well, if Allah is incomprehensible, how can you comprehend him to teach me about him if he is incomprehensible? Allah is not incomprehensible. You just are not studious enough to comprehend the signs that Allah put out here for you to comprehend. Allah give you signs. He give you books. He give you people. He give you nature for you to see how he worked in everyday life. Even the books, Torah, Injil, Quran, even these books are relevant to understanding God, or they irrelevant, and we must depend on our political leaders to guide us into a better future. And if you look at the world that we live in and the history of this world that we live in, depending on our political leaders to guide us to any future that don't entail killing each other is a proposition that I wouldn't want to put my life on in the future. I'd rather put my life on the fact that I'm going to do good to people and hope that they do good back to me. If everybody would practice doing good to one another, we could eliminate all the problems of this world. But as long as people want to take advantage of other people, regardless in the name of your religion, in the name of your social organization, in the name of your country or your state, you're going to always have the seed of problems that cannot be solved, because in the heart of the people who solving the problem is the same heart that is creating the problem. So I hope whatever I say come out my mouth that you can go and verify from a visible man and use it for your own visible creation. I greet you. Assalamu alaikum.